You want to strengthen your back or whatever. Let's get into it. So make sure you loosen up before you do this exercise. And I usually do about 20 reps of it just for good measure. Make sure that your back is completely straight. Push your entire core out and tuck your hips in. So basically push your groin to the front and down. I like to loosen things up by twisting around. Make sure your stomach is set. Now let's do these reps. And you want to pull with your chest, not with your arms or your shoulder joints. You will know you're doing this exercise right if you feel a slight burn right behind your shoulder blades, in your chest, and your lower back as well. This exercise is for the same purpose, but instead we're focusing on flexibility. So make sure that you rotate your shoulders as best as you can without feeling any popping or discomfort. It's almost as if you are pushing away or like swimming while standing up. You don't want to feel too much resistance on your forearms. Since we focused on strength and flexibility with the previous exercises, this exercise just helps open everything up and gives you a more stable pull. This exercise will help with your lower chest muscles as well as your middle back. And you just want to tense up your core and push behind your head upward. I like to mix it up by rotating my elbows and my arms to the front and the back just to get a better feel where my chest muscles are. You know you're doing it right when the burn is in your chest and in your middle back. You don't want to feel too much of it in your arms or in your hands. This next exercise you can also practice on a wall, just pushing away from yourself, but try to keep your back straight as possible, your shoulders back, and your head forward. You don't want to tuck your chin too much with doing this exercise. Right here is just an example of what the previous exercises look like from the front. So you might remember this exercise from my last video, but this really does target the hip area and your inner core, and you want to make sure that your core is completely pushed out and that your hip muscles are tucked and your shoulders are back, just to ensure that you're not bending your spine any way that it shouldn't. So if your core is unstable, you can stand on your tiptoes to help support those muscles so you can do this exercise without feeling like you're going to fall over. And instead of twisting at the hips with this next exercise, we're twisting at the waist, and it just truthfully helps with your center of gravity if you have a hard time finding it. This next exercise is very similar to the first, but instead we're dipping at our side. And you want to keep your core as tight as possible or pushed out as possible so that you don't have any curvature to your spine that could possibly injure you. This next exercise is just a combination of the hip and back exercises together, just so you can get a complete feel of what back muscles needs to be strengthened more. Halfway through these exercises, I just like to loosen everything out to ensure that all of my muscles are getting stretched to their capacity. But this next exercise is like the last, except we're just doing it forward. Now you want to grab an exercise band, or really just a bandana or a cloth, and we're going to do some resistance training. So you want to pull it apart as best as you can with your chest pushed forward and your shoulders pulled back. And you just want to rotate over your head and behind and just continue this motion for about 5 or 6 reps. I'll put the resistance band behind you and pull up and down at the same time. Make sure that your abs and your hips and your core is completely set along with your lats. So just so that it ensures no shoulder blade or joint injuries will happen. And I do about 10 to 20 reps of these every time I do it. This next exercise, you want to go ahead and get on the ground on your knees, but don't actually put the weight on your knee joints. Distribute it evenly throughout your calves and your hips. Your hips should be tucked, your core should be pushed out, your lats, which is right underneath your shoulder blades, should be engaged. Sometimes I have to readjust and find my center of gravity by pushing my butt out and then tucking it under so I can completely and properly tuck my hips. You can grab a weight, you can grab a ball, a book, anything to push in front of you. You want to push and pull with your chest. You shouldn't feel any burn within your arms, only the top of your shoulders, your middle back, and parts of your hips. If this exercise still doesn't feel stable for you, grab a resistance band and you will be able to see which arm, which shoulder joint, and part of your back needs to be strengthened most. Anyways, until next time.